Sorry, I was off here for a few minutes. So if you are trying to see how these variables vary now, how these variables vary. So vertical, each dot is where vertical meets horizontal. Like this one now. As you try to, if you try to reduce, decrease this vertical one, the horizontal is going up. That means that they are in opposite direction. That's why the slope is slant down. So as one increases, the other one decreases. That is negative covariance. This one in the middle is zero, near zero covariance, because you cannot see any direction. You cannot see any direction, you just scatter. But this last one is positive covariance. As you are increasing this, this one is increasing. So they increase, one increase, the other one increases. That is positive covariance. But when one increases, the other one decreases, that is negative covariance. Now, for us to understand very well, let's use an illustration to understand the concept of the covariance and how you can understand how correlation originated from it. This illustration is from 5 people. They watch adverts for a particular product, advertisement, and someone they bought also. They bought the packet of the product. We want to look at the number of advert watch compare with the, how does he vary with the number of packet of the product bought. You will see this subject 1, 2, 3, 4, there are 5. Number 1, 2, 3 to 5. Right. Number 1 watched 5 adverts, he bought 8 packet. Number 2 bought 4 and watched 4 and bought 9. Number 3 bought a watched 4 and bought 10. Number 4 watched 6 and bought 13. Number 5 watched 8 and bought 16. This is the mean number. If you add all these numbers and divide by 5, give you the mean number of advert watched and the mean number of packet bought. This is the standard deviation. If you plot the same thing on this graph, so if you look at it now, the packet bought is green, the advert watched is the blue. So if you look at it now, the mean is the horizontal line. You remember, the number of advert watched is, the mean is 5.4. Can you see between 4 and 6 here? This is the mean. For the packet bought, the mean is 11, between 11 and 10 and 12 here. Can you see? But you will now see that because each value did vary from the, differ from the mean. So some are above the mean, some are below the mean. So these are the point of each value. The difference between them. So the pink line, the pink now, or orange line between each dot and the line is the deviation. So those ones that have value above the mean are positive deviation, while those ones are below are negative deviation. The same thing with the packet. From the, just pictorially, you will see that, you see as you are going, look at the variation, the number 1, 2, 3, 3. The number of advert watch is below the mean. The same thing, the number of packet but is below, they are below the mean. While the other last two, number 4 and 5, the number of advert watch is above the mean, the number of packet bought is above the mean. You can see, you can actually say that the advert watch and packet bought, they co-vary in the sense that, and that is a positive covariance because as one, if one increase, the other one increase. If one decrease, if let's say the covariance, the relationship, the covariance between it is actually negative, what will happen is that as this one, the number 1 to 3, the number of advert watch are below the mean, the other 3 will be above the mean. As these two, the last 2 are above the mean for the advert watch, the other one will be below the mean. So you see that this one as is facing down, the other one will be facing opposite. And this one facing up, this one will be facing down also, opposite it. So you know that if they covary, there is negative. But if there's no covariance, you cannot see any pattern. As this one is down here now, this one can be down, this one is down, this one can be up. So how faster, you cannot see any pattern that shows they don't covary. Now we can see in this example now, the covary is form of positive covariance. Now, how do you compute this covariance? If you remember, the variance is formula for, you remember variance. How do you get the variance? You know, remember that you remove x per x, the mean from the each value, that is deviation. When you square it and divide by the standard, you divide by the degree of freedom, n minus 1. That is, and now that is variance. You know, when you square it and add it together and divide, that is variance. Look at variance now. Now, that is for one variable. The same thing for y. Variance for x is this. Variance for y is this. But the covariance between x and y, what does it mean? We just represent one by x, the other one by y, just for ease of this identification. So if you now talk about covariance now, all you need to do is that x minus s bar, y minus y bar over n minus 1. This is covariance. So if both of each, it's just like when you said, okay, you have your own business. Yes. X has its own business, Y has its own business. If they have business together, nobody have full ownership of the business. They just partial ownership. It's the same thing here. This is covariance, you see here. Now, if you calculate from what we have just done, the computation here is from the example we gave. This is the covariance, 4.27. But we have issue with covariance. How the problem with covariance? That is the problem with covariance that made the thinkers, the intelligent people, to think of correlation. A large variance can mean a strong relationship between variables. However, you can't compare variances over data set with different scale. What we like weight and height now. When we talk about height, we measure height in meter. For average man, you'll be talking of 1 point something, 1.6, 1.7, 1.65. Then for weight, you'll be talking of 70 something kilograms, 60 something, 90 something, 80 something. They are not on different scale. If you decide to measure your height, you convert to centimeter. Instead of 1%, you say 170. Then whichever way. See, when you cannot use covariance to compare to see if two things could vary, to compare two variables that are actually they are on different scale. Because the value, for example, now if you talk about standard deviation of weight now, if you're talking about maybe mean is 17, standard deviation is 10 or 15. The height, mean is maybe 1.6, standard deviation is 0.7. So look at if you are to calculate standard deviation variance from 0, compare with the other, because they are not comparable because they are not on the same scale. So that is it. A weak covariance in one data set may be strong in a different data set with different scale. So just because you cannot use it for anything you measure on different scale. The main problem with interpretation is that the wide range of results I take on make it difficult to interpret. You have wide range of results. You can have anything as small as 0. You can have 1,000 something depending on what you're measuring. If you are measuring distance in kilometers, the distance the plane travel, you are talking of thousands of kilometers. So you see, it can give you a wide range of value. The larger the x and y value, the larger the covariance. So it depends on the value, the scale you are dealing with. If the two things you are measuring, they have big, naturally have big, like distance, like tons of kilogram of maybe tons of corn. You're talking of maybe a block of bricks or stones. So it will give you big value. If you are dealing with small, something with small units or something small, to give you small value. Similarly, the large unit of measure for S and Y, the larger unit, the larger the covariance. I think I've talked about that. So how do you fix the problem? That's where the thinkers came in. The problem can be fixed by dividing the covariance by the standard deviation of X and Y to get the correlation coefficient. You see, if you remember, you'll be following our lecture when we talk about how did we standardize. Most of the time, you standardize by dividing by standard by using standard deviation. If you remember, the normal distribution. We see normal distribution is bell shape. There are many things that follow normal distribution. When you do, they will still be bell shape, but they are different shape. And what you plot will depends on the unit. You remember in physics in those days, you say 1 kilometer represent what you have to just, it depends on how you draw it. So you discover that different people will draw different things. The same thing on a paper, it will give you different, using different scale. So how did we overcome that? That is by dividing by standard deviation. If you remember, you now calculate what we call standard normal deviate. When we say, okay, we now say what is the difference between the mean and the value, and divide by the standard deviation. When you divide by that, it now give you standard normal distribution, which is universal. So because you have already divided, it has, somehow it becomes a ratio. A ratio is what you get when you divide two things of the same unit. Now, I actually give you an example. If you say, for someone, a car travel 400 kilometers, somebody travel 400 kilometers in 4 hours. So 400 kilometers divided by 4 hours, it gives you 4 kilometers per hour. So if you, it's going to give you 100 kilometers per rather, sorry, 100 kilometers per hour. But if you say one travel 4 kilometers, another travel 4 hours, when you divide 400 kilometers and over 4 hours, it's not 400, it's not 100 kilometers per hour, it's just 100, because kilometer cancel kilometer. Because both numerator and denominator, they are in kilometer. So in that situation, it's a ratio. But the other one, the first one is not a ratio, it's speed or velocity, because we are talking of kilometer, which is numerator, over hour, which is the time. So in standardization, you divide by the same thing of the same unit. So in that, if you look at what we are saying here, we divide x and y by that, because the value of x and y, the unit is the same thing as the unit of their standard deviation. So when you divide x and y by their standard deviation, it cancels out the unit. In that situation, it gives you correlation. It's standardized covariance is the correlation. Look at it here. So the correlation, if you divide it by the standard deviation, it gives you, just do some mathematics here, it gives you this, which is the formula for correlation. So know that correlation does not have unit. As I've said it, it's a unit, it's a ratio. It doesn't have unit. You don't say kilometer, no. Correlation is just a value, because you have divided two things of the same unit. So correlation isn't affected by changes in the center, in the mean, that is, it's not affected by the measure of standard central tendency or scale of the variable. It's not affected by the scale. It's universal. It's the same thing in engineering, in medicine, in anywhere, in agri. So it's like some of these things you use, like a Z, like chi-square, many, most of those things are, why they are universal is because they are ratio. So somehow you get it is by dividing the same thing, two things of the same unit. At the end of the day, it cancels out the unit. So it's a universal measure. So welcome to correlation is the standardized covariance. You start writing your question so that when we finish, we attend to the question. Meaning of correlation will come by. Is the degree of linear association between two variables. Degree of linear association. Linear. When you hear the word linear, it means denote number. It has something to do with, is it increasing? Is it decreasing? That's the meaning of linear. Is it increasing? Is it increasing? Is it increasing? Or is it decreasing? Is it decreasing? That is linear. The strength of the association is summarized by the correlation coefficient. So how do you know? Because when you are looking at correlation between two variables, the strength of that association is that correlation coefficient, which we say we are derived from covariance. The correlation coefficient is a dimensionless quantity ranging from -1 to +1. It's dimensionless, I've already said, it has no unit. That's the meaning of being dimensionless. A positive correlation is one in which both variables increases and decreases together. Negative correlation is one in which, as one variable increases, the other one decreases. You know, this middle statement, the correlation coefficient is a dimensional quantity ranging from -1 to 4. Sometimes that's how it's presented everywhere. They may have a reservation about that. I think it's so confusing because to me, I would rather say that it ranges from 0 to 1. It can be positive, it can be negative. When it is positive, that is, it means that if it's positive, as one increases, the other one increases also. If it is negative, it's the other direction. As one increases, the other one decreases. Or as one decreases, the other one increases. You remember direct proportion and inverse proportion. In variation. In mathematics, you talk about variation that as one is in direct proportion, one increases, the other one increases rather. In inverse proportion, as one increases, the other one decreases. And if you translate it to physics and chemistry, so you remember Charles' laws and Bohr's law. In Charles' law, the temperature and the volume, I'm talking about the temperature and the volume of the gas and temperature, they are directly proportional. As you increase the temperature, the volume increases. As you decrease the temperature, the volume decreases. It's direct proportion. But while the Bohr's law, as the volume increases, the pressure decreases. As volume decreases, the pressure increases. So in opposite direction, that is inverse proportion. It's the same thing here. In positive correlation, both of them increase together. The negative correlation, as one increases, the other one decreases. So I would rather say that rather than say they are from, because those ones that we have, if you say it ranges from 0, possible value is from -1 to +1. Those ones that will have possible value between -1 to 0 they are different from those ones that will have possible value from 0 to 1. Those ones that have possible value from -1 to 0 are the ones that are inverse negative correlation. The one that will have possible value between 0 and 1 are the positive correlation. Whichever way, it's just for you to conceptualize and understand. When variables are exactly linear, they are linearly related, exactly the correlation coefficient will be just 1, either +1 or -1. So if perfectly all the time, as one increase, this variable increase, the other one increases all the time, 1 for 1 like that. So that shows that it's perfectly correlated. The strength of association will be 1, either positive or negative, depending on is it inverse, is it positive correlation or negative correlation. Note that the correlation coefficient is unaffected by the unit of the measurement. I've said that before. The square of the correlation coefficient gives the proportion of the variation of. Well, leave that one. We are going to regression now. When you see the square of the correlation coefficient gives the proportion of the variation of one variable explained by the other. Yes, it's true, but it's more useful when we talk about regression. That's what we call coefficient of determination. When we get to regression, we look at. Let's look at this correlation very well. What I've just said in the pictorial form, correlation coefficient, how is number between -1 to +1, and tell us how well a regression line feeds the data. Well, sometimes they are, because they are related. They are actually related. Talking about regression lines, they are related. But as I said before, in correlation, there's nothing like dependent and independent variable. The dependent and independent variable comes in when we now begin to step further to talk about regression. So look at what I was saying. Look at this one now. And you see both of them, the slope going up. As one increases, one is on vertical, the other one is on horizontal. As you see, where the dot is where the value of X and Y or both meet. Can you hear? As this one increases, this one increases. So can you see? That's why it slope up. The same thing with this, the same thing with this. This one, they are in opposite direction. As one increase, the other one decrease. But the only thing you will now see now, this one online. This one is a little bit scattered. It's not 1, 0.9. This one is scattered more, 0.5. Can you see? This one are minus. The same thing with them, but they are in no opposite direction because they are negative correlation. They may have the same strength, but in negative. So that is why the notion of saying that it ranges from -1 to +1 to me, it doesn't make sense, because if you say minus from the scale, you know that -1 is less than 0. -1 is less than +1. It's less than 0 and less than +1. And whereas -1 means perfect negative correlation, the strength is high. So because you actually measure from the 0, the 0, if like now, this one is -1 is stronger correlation than -0.9, is stronger correlation than -0.5. Why this one as is 1 is stronger correlation than 0.9. So the mathematically minus y, you think it should be less than, it should be higher than in minus is 0.5. It should be less than minus 0.5. Minus 1 should be less than in mathematically. But that is why to say that it actually ranges from minus 1 to plus 1 can be misleading, but you can see it ranges from 0 to 1, can be negative or positive. Now, look at this last one here, it's scatter. It means there is no correlation. And the Pearson correlation, what we just described, that we say is a standardized correlation, a covariance. By dividing covariance with the standard deviation to form correlation, it's actually Pearson correlation. So after the person that first of all described it, and I said that that person was the student of Gattin. Now, let's look at the correlation coefficient now, which is the strength of association. So we have different type of it. The one we first described is Pearson. We also have, it makes more sense, the Pearson is more applicable when you are dealing with two continuous variables. So those variables, they easily can follow normal distribution. It's not ordinal. But in a situation where you cannot meet up with all the requirements, maybe one is continuous, one is ordinal. So you are talking, you cannot use Pearson correlation. There's a Spearman correlation will come in. So it's non-parametric. That is the situation where you cannot say the data set of the two variables you are dealing with parametric. So you use non-parametric, which is Spearman. It requires ordinal data for both variables. Well, so for both variables, Kendall correlation is the same, similar to Spearman. The difference is that Kendall will be more useful in the situation where you have smaller sample size. With Tyrant, with a lot of Tyrant, when we say a lot of Tyrant, if you put something on a Likert scale now, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, and most of the people score that 2. That one I say disagree. It's common. That 2 is common more. A particular value is common. So we call it Tyrant. So where we have a particular value that is commoner than the rest, that is Tyrant. So in the situation we have small sample size and Tyrant, Kendall will be better. There are two interesting correlation coefficients, point biserial and biserial. No, in point biserial correlation, it quantifies association between one continuous variable and a discrete dichotomous variable. That is, there's a dichotomous variable that there is no continuum underlying the two variables, like dead or alive, like male and female. So in a situation, even though we say that we correlate variable with that have number, but this point biserial and biserial, there are exceptions in the sense that one of the variable has number, the other one may not necessarily. May be categorical. That is, one is it has number. Maybe most of that is continuous. That's all. It's continuous on a continuous scale. But the other one is categorical. But what you do is that this one is categorical. There are two categories only. So one will be denoted as 1, while the other will be denoted as 0. Just like that is a computer, like what you use in logistics is a computer language 0, 1, 0, 1, 0. So there are two types of it, as I've said. One is point biserial, one is biserial. In the point biserial, one variable is continuous, the other one is what we call discrete dichotomous variable. What is discrete dichotomous variable? Like dead or alive, male or female. So in a situation where there's no underlying continuum, okay, let's explain the second one. You'll be able to understand what we mean by no underlying continuum. The biserial correlation, it quantifies association between continuous variable and a continuous dichotomous variable. That is, there's a continuum underlying the two categories, passing or failing an exam. Diabetes, hypertension or no hypertensive, the anemia, no anemia. What do you think are the common things among these things? There's an underlying number. Like for example, before you can see somebody is diabetic, you have blood sugar, and that blood sugar is number, and it is a continuous scale. Then you now have a cutoff, that's a 126. Once it's more than that or equal to diabetic, the other one not diabetic. So you know, denote all those under 126 and above, denote it as 1. The rest 0. Diabetic, yes or no. So if you now correlate diabetic yes or no with maybe blood pressure, which is on a continuous variable, that is a biserial correlation. But if you, let's say you correlate the blood pressure, systolic blood pressure with male or female, where you say male is 1, 0, female is 0, or female is 1, male is 0, that is a point biserial correlation because the dichotomous variable does not have underlying continuum. But if it has underlying continuum, originally there's a number, they just have a cutoff, like anemia. Is a hemoglobin concentration of PCV you do. As a cutoff, you say anemia. Exam, there is a score. You not say anything below this is fail, or anything above this is pass. So that is just the understanding of biserial and biserial. These are Pearson and Spearman. You'll be surprised that these two men, they were geneticists. They were biologists like you, like most of you. You were biologists, and that is why those people that developed statistics over the year were biologists and social scientists. So the physicists, the chemists, they didn't need statistics, so they didn't contribute much, if they even contribute anything. But those people that are needed, it most are biologists, you, are social scientists, and that was why they developed statistics over the year. And if you have listened to our lecture on the logic of scientific reasoning, we emphasize that. You see it if you, on our website, you get the video, you'll be able to understand why the biologists contributed most. Biologists, they're followed by social scientists, contributed most to statistics over the year. I don't know the time, maybe we should stop here. So that the other one is about solving. Maybe we discuss that in the next lecture. So I thought we were able to finish. So look at example, how you run it. No, not running per se, calculate an example, then how we interpret the result will be the next lecture. I don't know if there's any question. Any question?
I have a question.
Yes, go on.
I have a question.
Go on.
My question is related to variables that are collinear. There was a time that I was doing a regression. It was a logistic regression on Stata, and then it was giving me some kind of numbers that were not okay. And then when I looked at the output, it was on Stata that I was doing it. When I looked at the output, it now said the marital status variable was collinear or covariant or something like that.
Collinearity. Yes.
Collinearity.
Yes.
So I had to drop that variable. So I don't know if you can expatiate on that, because I didn't really.
Okay. Okay, you think maybe it has something to do correlate covariance. Now it has nothing to do with covariance. Though what it means that they are perfectly correlated. When two things are perfectly correlated, it means that it's the same. Yes, I mean, it's just like if there's a meeting now that you want to attend in your vicinity, they say one person from now. If your husband is there, you don't need to be there, because it's like double. One of you just will, because both of you perfectly correlate. So when two variables perfect, that is, if you do their correlation, they are 100% perfect. Only one, that is the correlator minus 1 or 1. It means that this variable is 100% the other. So if in regression, in multiple regression, when you load the two, it's what we call perfect collinearity. It will let you know. In fact, if you load the two, you won't see the other one. It will not appear. If you first of all put maybe marital status and then put maybe ethnicity, that is the education, that perfectly correlate with it. If you feel, you won't see the ethnicity. If the ethnicity you first of all put it, but you won't see the marital status, because both of them they perfectly there's perfect collinearity. So it's redundancy, because both of them they can be represented by one. It doesn't, we know correlation does not mean it's causing causation. Something can even correlate perfectly with something, and both of them have nothing related to one another. For example, let's say during people that sell ice cream, they sell more during time people drown. And when the people, it's during hot season that people take ice cream more, and that is when people go to swim. So now discover that it's around the time people sell ice cream that people report drowning. So now say, is it ice cream that making them to drown? After all, is it because some people took ice cream that they drown? No, it's not because of that. It's because it's the season. It's the season that really, it's the particular season that the ice cream sell most, that people go to swim and drown. So you see that if you gather data, ice cream sale and drowning, you see that the ice cream sale and drowning may correlate perfectly. It doesn't mean that they have anything to do with one another, but it means that they are speaking the same language anyway at the same time. That's what the perfect correlationality means. I don't know if you understand that.
I understand, but sir, when you are drawing the table of on your Microsoft Word, will you have to exclude that marital? Do I have to exclude that marital status?
No, you don't need to. You know, the issue is that which table is it? The table of correlation or the regression?
The regression. When I'm now
you just
drawing,
have to choose one. No, you have to choose one. You cannot. Okay. That is why you have to choose one of them. Is you have to now use brain to choose which one is more you include there. Which one because you are trying to build a model. What is just telling you is that both of them, they are repeating the same thing. There's no point putting both of them there. So in that situation, it's you that will think of, okay, is it marital status that should be there or this one? You include in the model. You exclude the other one.
Okay. Sorry, this is the last question. In a logistic regression, how will you know the ones? It just told me that marital status is collinear.
Yes, you will not know. That's what I'm telling you. You know, this section is not on regression. It's not on regression. This is correlation. So okay. I was just trying to clarify that thing so that because we're talking of collinearity has something to do with correlation. Yes. So the issue there is the computer will not think for you. I've already said it. It's you that will know. If you look at it, what you put in your study, is it computer? Is it by when you do literature review, what we have had, the study that have been done before, what you know about that variable concerning your outcome, it will determine how you judge them. Yes, I mean, it's you that will choose one out of them. It's not the computer that will tell you which one you're going to use. If both of them perfectly correlate, there's perfect collinearity. That is perfectly correlate. You choose one based on your previous knowledge of the variables, literature review, during literature review, you choose one. So the computer will not tell you. Computer is garbage. It's you that feed into computer. So it doesn't think like human.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. I actually thought it was related to correlation.
And the only thing that is related to correlation there is that they perfectly correlate. That's why they call it multiple collinearity. Because they perfectly correlate. The correlation is like one or very close to one. Perfect. Okay. Because many of them also, many variables that you feed into logistics or either linear logistics, they correlate somehow. They can correlate. That's why you have to even remove it. But it must not, because it must not perfectly correlate. It's not like the way it is not accepted for you to marry your brother. Yes, I mean, you are related. But you can still marry somebody that is related to you, someone from your mother's place, your father's place, related, but not perfectly related like the same parent. It's the same thing. So all those variables you feed in, they are all related somehow, but to a certain extent. But when the two are now perfectly correlate, that is collinearity. It means that one represents the other one. It's like a clone that is perfectly represent the other one. So you don't need to. And it's you that will determine which one you want to use to represent the two of them in your model.
Thank you, sir.
Any other one?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Well done, sir. Okay, sir. Still in line with the last question. When we talk about, though I missed the earlier part of the presentation, when we talk about,
we cannot hear you. Cannot hear you again. We cannot hear him again. Any other one? Any other question? Or any other person? I think his network was bad and he's out of the platform. Any other one? Okay, yes, he's trying to come in again.
hello, sir.
Yes, go on.
Sorry, sir, the network logged me out.
Yeah.
Sir, I was asking, sir, that with regard to positively and negatively correlations, does the positive correlations have to do with collinearity? Then
any of them? Okay, go on.
Is there any relationship between negatively correlation and regression? Thank you, sir.
If you understand what we are representing, there's nothing like maybe negative or either negative or positive. Their correlation is just like the different type. So collinearity can either be, it may be there's a perfect correlation, it may be positive correlation or negative correlation. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really mean any. It may two things that perfectly correlate can be positive or negative. And when you are running regression, whichever one, it will show you perfect, it will show you collinearity. So whether it has something to do with regression, that also is the same thing. You can, they are all related to regression, somehow. Because correlation, before you can even talk about relation view regression, if there's no correlation, you cannot even talk about regression. You cannot predict anything that does not even correlate. It's not possible. So is correlation first, even before regression. So regression is like a step further. So it can be negative, it can be positive. The meaning of positive is this: if like age of a child now, as the child increases in age, you expect the weight and the height of the child to increase. So in that case, the height and the weight, they have positive correlation. The age and the weight or height have positive correlation. But if you are talking about maybe childish behavior, as the child is growing up, the childish behavior will be reducing. In that situation, there's a negative correlation. That's something that negatively correlates. Just like what we said about the volume and volume of gas and the pressure of gas. If you increase the volume of gas, I think the volume has increased in a particular space. If you allow the gas, the same mass of gas to spread, the pressure will reduce. Can you see? So the volume increases, the pressure goes up. When you try to compress the gas in a small volume, the pressure will increase. So can you see the pressure and the volume, they are in opposite direction? That is negative correlation. So whichever one, any of them, you can predict, that whether it's positive or not, you can predict one from the other. So that's just it. You can predict one from the other. I don't know if you understand now. So you can predict. So either positive or negative correlation, you can go into regression. And it can be perfect correlation, can be negative or negative. So it can mean collinearity. I don't know if it has answered your question. I think it's...
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Any other one? Okay, if there's no other question, I want to thank every one of you. Good night.
Good night, sir.